Good morning and welcome to Unity of Carlsbad. My name is Harold Payne and I'll be doing the music and message today. It's been my pleasure to be here many times as a guest musician over the years, and thanks to Reverend Robin Plant and the board for asking me to be here today. So I'm going to start off with, since I am first and foremost a musician, there will be a lot of music interspersed here in the message, and I'd like to do a little congregational song that you can all sing along with. This is something that I wrote with Karen Drucker, and I'll listen for the sing along here. There's a lot of repetition here, so it should be fairly straight ahead. All right. You are welcome here. You are welcome here. You are welcome here. You are welcome. You are welcome here. You are welcome here. You are welcome here. I am welcome. I am welcome here. I am welcome here. I am welcome here. We are welcome here. We are welcome here. We are welcome here. We are welcome. We are welcome here. We are welcome here. We are welcome here. Our arms are wide open. There's room for everyone. Wherever you're going, wherever you're from, you are home. You are welcome here. You are welcome here. You are welcome here. Yes, you are. You are welcome here. You are welcome here. You are welcome here. I am welcome. I am welcome here. 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 We are welcome. We are welcome here. We are welcome here. We are welcome here. Oh, we are welcome here. We are welcome here. We are welcome here. Whatever you've been through, you found us somehow. Wherever you are on your journey now, you are home. You are welcome here. You are welcome here. You are welcome here. Sing it with me. You are welcome here. You are welcome here. You are welcome here. One more time. You are welcome here. You are welcome here. You are welcome here. Yes, you are welcome here. Not only is that our opening congregational song, but it kind of ties in with a message that I have today, because I'm going to be talking about civility. Love Wins is the actual title of my talk, but it's really about civility. And so by welcoming with open arms conversations, that's one way where we can reach out to one another and practice civility. So I'm going to do a little bit of a song meditation here for you. So this is a chance for us to get quiet for a moment and circle. It goes on and on, joining us all as one in a common bond. Love is a never-ending circle, and there's room inside, enough for all of us. Open your arms up wide. Love is a never-ending circle. It goes on and on. It goes on and on. It goes on and on. It goes on. Imagine that light passing on so beautifully to everyone exponentially. Love is a never-ending circle. It goes on and on, joining us all as one in a common bond. Love is a never-ending circle. It goes on and on. It goes on and on. It goes on and on. It goes on. It goes on. It goes on. This is where we let go. Okay, as I said, my message today is called Love Wins. It's actually based on a song that I co-wrote with a gentleman by the name of Kevin Fisher. And as I mentioned, Love Wins is really about civility. So I'm going to play the song that inspired the talk here, so you know where we're going. You turn the news on, you get your blues on from all the negativity. It's hard to wrap yourself around what's going down on TV. You can stress it, second guess it, you can think about it way too hard, or you can move the conversation from your head to your heart. Sometimes it's a matter of just letting go, holding on to the one thing we know. Love wins, love wins. That's where the circle of life begins. It's the one simple lesson we're learning again and again. Love wins. We all matter. It doesn't matter if we're on one side or the other, as long as we find a way to get along with one another. We can't agree to disagree, or maybe even realize that you see another point of view when you look through someone else's eyes. Sometimes it's as easy as just letting go, holding on to the one thing we know. Love wins, love wins. That's where the circle of life begins. It's the one simple lesson we're learning again and again. Love wins whenever you give it a chance. It Okay. Love wins, indeed, when all else fails. Well, does this sound familiar to you? Something you've seen on Facebook or somewhere else? Do you really think that way? You must be an idiot. I thought you were smarter than that. That's the sort of dialogue that you sometimes see on Facebook and other places, and it's not a good place to start. So we need a way to all get along. And yes, can't we all get along? Rodney King said. And even if we don't have the same point of view as someone else, we have to find a way to get along with one another. And that's what really civility is all about to me. And civility, and hopefully we won't argue over the definition, is a formal politeness and courtesy in behavior or speech. In other words, it's consideration or respect. The Institute of Civility in Government, and I quote, defines civility as more than just politeness, though politeness is a necessary first step. It's about disagreeing without disrespect, seeking and finding common ground as a starting point for dialogue about differences, listening past one's preconceptions, and teaching others to do the same. Civility is the hard work of staying present, even with those with whom we have deep-rooted and fierce disagreements. To me, it's really about being respectful and not confrontational, and having those real open-hearted conversations where no one feels ignored, but they feel heard. A Colorado State Congresswoman, Lisa Cutter, regarding the above definition, said, civility can be hard work, and it does not mean letting go of one's deeply held convictions. We can be passionate advocates for our cause while still seeking common ground and engaging others with respect. So the bottom line to me is that we need each other. We need our neighbors. We need our compatriots. We all have roles to play that involve one another. And so, as you can imagine, I have a song about that. This is something I wrote with a woman who was the musical director at Unity Bon Air, which is in Richmond, Virginia, actually. This is the moment, right here and now, to lay down our burdens and come together somehow. It might not be easy to cross this divide, but Lord knows we've got to try. Let love be our witness as we stand in forgiveness. We all want to find common ground. We need each other. We need each other now more than ever before. We need each other. We need each other. May peace in our hearts be restored. I've had a vision deep in my soul where the rivers of compassion rise up and overflow and wash away the enmity with kindness and empathy. No one can do it alone. We need each other. We need each other now more than ever before. We need each other. We need each other. May peace in our hearts be restored. The world is not perfect, but the struggle is worth it. and our dreams can still somehow come true. We need each other, we need each other, and now more than ever before. We need each other, we need each other. May peace in our hearts be restored. We need each other now more than ever before. Yes, we need each other. So I'm not going to bother to put my guitar down because I'll be interspersing songs here. That's what you get when you have a musician coming in here. So I came up with 10 concrete steps to turn down the rhetoric and turn up the civility. And number one is to find common ground. Now, common ground can be talking about family. It can be about places you visited. It can be about sports if you go there, or hobbies. And speaking of sports, like an analogy for this is sometimes in a big football game, the teams are nervous, and the quarterback, instead of making some really elaborate play, will throw some short passes just to kind of get in the groove a little bit, to establish something that's really easy to do and to get going and get past that nervousness that occurs in the beginning. So that's an analogy for, doing some really small, having some small conversations that really open the door for civility and for having a reasonably gentle conversation. And number two is to stand for something rather than against. So maybe this is about your vision of a better solution rather than what's wrong with somebody else's solution. So rather than saying, well, that doesn't work, maybe saying, well, I hear you, but what do you think about this possibility? And being as civil as possible, and then maybe even doing an example of what that would look like. And maybe they have an example, and hear them out with their example. And number three is to agree to disagree and still be friends. I read, I heard the audiobook of Benjamin Franklin. And Benjamin Franklin was involved in a debate club in England, and he also started one in America back in the 18th century. And I believe that's the debate club in England, the name escapes me, is where he met Thomas Paine. And he kind of gave Thomas Paine a little credibility when he came over to America. Now, I don't know if there's a relation. He spells Paine, P-A-I-N-E, mine is P-A-Y-N-E. But the cool thing about these debate clubs in England is it would be a formal situation where people would debate the topics, and sometimes it would be heated. But the beautiful thing is when it was done, when all that was over, they had a meal together and drank together and socialized and had a good time together. So we could use a little bit more of that, where we talk about what we talk about and then break bread together, or have whatever libation or soft drink that you want to have, and just talk about normal things and step away step away from the building. Yeah. And so that's number 3. Number 4 is an obvious one: no name calling or shaming. That, of course, gets you nowhere. And in fact, imagine someone saying, "I'm more non-judgmental than you are." I mean, that's how ridiculous it can get. So, you just end up getting in the mud if someone goes there and you go the back and forth there. It just doesn't help the situation at all. I think we all know that. Number 5 is listen. I think this might be one of the most important things, is really to listen, to genuinely try to understand why someone thinks the way they think, and maybe even repeat it back. There's a gentleman named Chris Voss that has a book out about negotiation. It's called Never Split the Difference. And one of the things that he uses is to mirror when you're in a potential advocate, and he's been in some very adversarial situations. He was a lead hostage negotiator for the FBI. So, but one of the, so we won't have situations that are as hostile as that, but just mirroring what someone says and saying, so you grew up in a situation where such and such was that, and at a certain point you realized such and such, and you mirror back what they say so they know that you actually listened to what they had to say. So sometimes mirroring back what they say to let them know that they're heard. And regarding, not saying anything that, diving in the mud with other people, I have a song about that, because what we say definitely matters, and what we sing matters as well. So I'm going to sing this song as soon as I can find the lyrics. The tongue is one of the strongest muscles in our body. It can be used for peaceful purposes or verbal karate. 'Cause what we say matters. What we say matters. Written or spoken, when you keep your heart open, you shine your brightest light. What we say matters. What we say matters. It's not just idle chatter. Words can change our lives. There's power in our words. They can heal or help hurt. Thoughts are things, our hopes and dreams, sent out to the world. What we say matters. What we say matters. Written or spoken, when you keep your heart open, you shine your brightest light. What we say matters. It's not just idle chatter, and words can change our lives. We may not realize that every time we criticize, we open wounds, and no one's immune to careless, harshness remarks or lies. What we say matters. What we say matters. Written or spoken, when you keep your heart open, you shine your brightest light. What we say matters. It's not just idle chatter, and words can change our lives. do our best to make them good ones. 'Cause what we say matters. What we say matters. Written or spoken, when you keep your heart open, you shine your brightest light. What we say matters. It's not just idle chatter. And words can change our lives. Words can change our lives. They really do matter. So number 6, we kind of touched on this before. Acknowledge the other person and let them feel heard and respected, and to not be dismissive. You know, being dismissive can not only be verbal, it can gestures and expressions of the eye roll and things like that. So sometimes we have to be aware of the fact that we can be dismissive sometimes even with our gestures and expressions. So just so that we let them know that they're heard and seen. And as has been said in some speeches, you know, to take the high ground, to resist the temptation to get sucked into something if someone tries to provoke you. We kind of mentioned this before, but taking the high ground, it doesn't mean that you can't have an opinion or be passionate about your beliefs and to really seek the truth, but to not get dragged in. Number 8, this can be a really important one, which is, if necessary, to have a politics-free zone or politics-free zones. And the first place that comes to mind for that possibly is Thanksgiving. It's the time where people gather together sometimes from all parts of the country, and people with differing points of views politically, even though there's love there for one another. And sometimes there may be that one uncle that decides to go ballistic, or aunt, or cousin, or whatever. And so maybe sometimes it's a policy can be made to, at least during dinner, to have it be a politics-free zone. That may or may not be something that works for you, but that's something that I thought of as one of the top 10 lists. So number 8, well, that was number 8. Number 9 is to lighten up. Okay, and lighten up can mean to be self-deprecating in a way like, oh, I know you don't want to listen to what I have to say or something, or, you know, it's just my humble opinion or whatever, or any other way to bring something to distract from intensity that sometimes occurs. So just to lighten up. And of course, above all, wherever you come from, whether you call it the golden rule or whatever you call it in your belief system, it's all pretty similar to do unto others as you would have them do unto you. I mean, that's the basic one, and I think that would always be in my top 10 list of anything. So I thought that in speaking of different practices and religions and ways of thinking, one of the things that's always been helpful for me in terms of respecting other people's opinions is traveling. I've had the great pleasure of traveling to to many places. And each time I do, when I get back on that plane and come back, and I'm kind of looking back at my home country with a different perspective, because I've seen how other people live their life, and I learned some things that I can bring back, and maybe I can pass some things on in the other direction. But one of my favorite things, I studied linguistics and language when I was in college, university, and one of my favorite things was to look at idiomatic expressions in different languages and see how people take the same concept and say it differently in their language, where literally it doesn't translate literally, but it's the same concept. For instance, in English, we sometimes say, when in Rome, do as the Romans do. In Spanish, they say, tiene que bailar con la canción que se toca, which means one must dance to the song that is being played. This is a beautiful way of saying the same thing. So sometimes going to other places or seeing things through other people's eyes is not unlike talking to someone with a different point of view. They may love their children and teach them the same lessons that you teach your children, but they may approach it in a different way, and maybe we can learn from one another. And so on one particular trip that I took was a trip to India. And I want to tie that in with, there's a gentleman that has a movie called Free Trip to Egypt. It was a real interesting thing that he did. And I became aware of it because I, along with several other people, sang on the promotion little trailer for the movie. So I got to know about the movie, and it's a wonderful idea. It's a gentleman who happens to be a Muslim from Canada. And he went to Trump rallies and held up a sign that said free trip to Egypt. And he had conversations with people and gave them, for people that would engage him in conversation, he gave them an opportunity to take an all expenses free paid trip to Egypt, so that someone who had a really very conservative point of view to meet with someone who might have an opposite point of view, or at least a different religious background that they may think of as really threatening. And so several people took him up on it, which goes to show that they were open. And when both sides are open, the red states and the blue states, and when we're open to hearing what the other has to say. So I thought it was very cool that they decided to do this. And they went on this trip, and they stayed with a Muslim family, and they saw that these were just people. And even though their traditions were different, that they were loving people and they were not the enemy, and vice versa. They saw that these people on the other side loved their family, and lifelong relationships were made. So I thought it was a wonderful idea. And so I did something similar to that. Went on a trip to India on an international peace walk. I met a guy that was walking around the world from India, and he invited people to come to India to see what India was like, and to see what another culture and country was like. And he himself came from a mixed background of Muslim and Hindu beliefs. So he was kind of a perfect example of blending those. His name was Prem Kumar. And so I went to India, on this international peace walk, and had a chance to meet incredible people along the way, going to villages where people had never even been to another village, let alone seeing 35 people from 20 different countries walking through, everything from a Buddhist monk to a 7'1" mountain climber to a musician from California to whatever. It was a wonderful experience and a wonderful chance to exchange ideas and see how much that we actually have in common. So I'm going to actually sing a little bit of that song. It's about taking one step in the right direction, and that's kind of what civility is like, just taking a step towards the other person, whether it's listening to what they have to say, or one of the other top 10 lists we talked about. I am a humble man from a village in India. I walk in the footsteps of those who've gone before. And this road I travel on will lift me up and make me strong. So when people ask me what this journey's for, if I take one step in the right direction, if I touch one heart along the way, if that one step becomes a chain reaction, then my journey has not been in vain. I get my inspiration from the words of the children. I'm trying to teach myself what they already know. If I could show my fellow man what a child can understand, then the seeds that I have sown will surely grow. If I take one step in the right direction, if I touch one heart along the way, if that one step becomes a chain reaction, then my journey has not been in vain. If I take one step in the right direction, if I touch one heart along the way, if that one step becomes a chain reaction, then my journey has not been in vain. Then my journey has not been in vain. All right, so whether it's one step or more than one of those 10 steps that we talked about to lower the tension and raise the possibility of us getting along with each other. To me, when you connect with someone from another country and you have a positive experience, it's like 3.5 billionth lessening of a chance of hostility. It's a tiny grain of sand on the infinitesimal beach of possible connection in the world. So let us keep adding those grains of sand and connect with each other and on a giant beach of civility. So it's been my pleasure to be here today, and I just want to say on behalf of Unity of Carlsbad, for those who would like to support Unity of Carlsbad and keep it flowing during these times, you can go to the website of Unity of Carlsbad, and there's a donate button. And please go there if you are so inclined. And once again, I thank you for the opportunity. I'm going to close out with a song to send us all off on a positive note. And I appreciate being here today. And something wonderful is happening right now. Something wonderful is happening to me right here, right now. Something wonderful is happening to me right here, right now. I can feel it in my body, I can feel it in my soul, I can feel it in my heart, and it won't let go. Oh, something wonderful is happening to me right here, right now. Sing it with me. Oh, something wonderful is happening to me right here, right now. And all this love inside, we can let it shine, yeah. Something wonderful is happening to me right here, right now. Something wonderful is happening to me right here, right now. Your turn. Something wonderful is happening to me right here, right now. Yes, it is. Something wonderful is happening to me right here, right now. Oh, something wonderful is happening to me right here, right now. Big finish. Something wonderful. Okay, enjoy the rest of your day. God bless you, and thank you, Unity of Carlsbad. Take care.